If you've been searching all over the internet for dark skin tone LUTs, then you have come to the right place, because in today's video I'm going to share with you one of my favorite custom made LUTs that I'm going to show you how I use it in a very descriptive manner, as well as give it to you for free. So let's set the ball rolling. Okay, so I have created some timestamps where I want my footage to begin and where to end. So I'm going to just drag it all the way onto my timeline. Okay, then I'm going to keep the existing settings just like so. All right, so I'm going to start with this footage, then I'll move on to this one where I have my timestamps. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's get back to this footage. Okay, so this is a music video that I filmed a while ago. I can't show you the video itself because it hasn't been released yet, but I want to just take you through just these two footages and how my custom LUT is going to play on them. All right, so I'm going to create an adjustment layer. First of all, that's what I always do. And I'm going to duplicate the adjustment layer by hitting Alt on my keyboard and holding the left mouse button and dragging it all the way up. All right, so after the duplicate has been made, I'm going to apply the LUT onto the first adjustment layer. All right, so I'm going to go to the color tab. Okay, once that's open, I'm going to go down to creative and I'm going to search for the LUT. Okay, so the LUT that we're looking for is called Indoor Brown Skin Tone LUT. I'm going to leave it down in the description below so you can download it. So quickly do that. But of course, finish watching this video so you can be abreast with how I'm going to use it. Okay, so I'm going to double click and it's going to apply. So readily, you notice that the dark skin tone or the brown golden feel is already applied, and that's because the lighting that I used had very good CRI. All right, so it's going to of course render the skin tones perfectly well. So once that I drop this onto the footage on the adjustment layer, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to tackle the second adjustment layer and reduce how much the intensity is by opening the shadow, the whites, the highlights. Okay, so let's say we are on a good start. All right, so you notice that it's way too warm, even though I decided to make it warm by putting a light over here to the right hand side of the camera. It still does look very, very warm. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the temperature of the warmth all the way to a cool temperature, and I think we are doing so well, just that we have too much contrast and we are losing the dynamic range over there, so I can see the character back there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my shadow some more, increase the exposure a little bit, just like so, and continue with the temperature to the left a little bit. All right, so one thing I've noticed with adjustment layers is that when you're applying the temperature to the adjustment layer, doesn't really affect it as much as you would have it when you actually tackle the footage itself. So let's send the temperature a little bit to the left, and you notice that tremendous difference. Okay, all right, so let's open the shadows a little bit more, just like so, and this actually looks good. Someone who really loves a lot of contrast every time, so if you see so much contrast in my footages or in my work, that's the point. I love it, and that's a personal style. Okay, so if the contrast happens to be too much, you just reduce it, of course, just like so, to create more dynamic range. All right, I'm not going to go way too much into this. I'm just showing you how the LUT can be applied and how much the skin tone takes it. All right, so this looks very beautiful and I like the look of it. All right, so let us move on to the next footage. Okay, so let me just drag because I already have the timestamps right in where I want them. All right, so the adjustment layer, I'm going to drag it all the way to cover it as well, so that we have a very nice look, just like so. That's so beautiful. All right, so I'm going to copy the properties of the previous footage that we worked on and bring it all the way over here, and I'll paste it right in there. Okay, so because both situations are different in lighting conditions, of course it wouldn't really look good immediately you paste it there most of the time, so we're gonna have to fix it. All right, so I noticed that there's too much highlights there, maybe too much whites, just like so. Reduce it like that. Then of course reduce the temperature a little bit, not too much. This time bring in contrast, just like so. And this looks just right. All right, so you can tweak it as much as you want, but ensure that your lighting is right and you have a very good, you know, light that provides you with very good accurate skin tone rendition. All right, so if I add more blacks like so, I'm have the feel that, you know, tells us that we have so much warmth in there. So if you notice that there's too much reds like I am seeing right now, you can tackle it with, you know, some highlights. All right, so the highlight tint can send all the way to the blues a little bit. You know, you notice that it changes the highlights in there. And of course, even though I love the, you know, the reds in the shadows, maybe you might want to, you know, push down, you know, the reds and bring in some blues, introduce some blues in there. And because we've lost the detail of the warmth in the skin, we can bring it back by increasing the reds in the highlights, and this looks so much better. All right, so beautiful. All right, and simply that's how I apply my LUTs. This LUT is one that I really love, and you know, down in the description below you can find it and try it on your footages. I would love to see you use them. And if you follow me on Instagram, you can tag me in any footage that you apply this LUT on, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. See ya. And oh, of course, don't forget to subscribe.